Hello, my loves. Welcome in. I'm gonna wait some time to let some people join in. How's it going? Hopefully you guys will stick around for today's lesson and chit chat. We're gonna be talking about why men do not commit. What are some of the reasons why they have issues with commitment or refuse to commit to long-term monogamous relationships with women. How's it going? Leave a like, follow if you're not already following my account. Hold on one second, guys. I'm gonna just clean up my notes here. How's it going? Oh, thank you so much for all the likes. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the reasons as to why men will not commit. I'm going to be recording this for my YouTube channel, so if you're if you want to catch the whole thing, if you log off and then want to catch the whole thing, make sure you're following me on YouTube and subscribe there. My YouTube is growing. That's where I mostly post all my content now. TikTok is still a part of my platforms, but I mostly try to focus on YouTube and growing that community, because YouTube is where you want to be. So make sure you're following me there if you're not. Thanks guys for liking. So, why men will not commit. Some of the reasons that this happens. You know, I go out into the world and, you know, I socialize, and I mean, all I hear all around me, you know, when you go to any restaurant, any bar, any social event with friends, is you just hear so much gossip and frustrations and just he say, she say about relationships. What's going on in their relationships, you know, friends venting to friends about their dating troubles and issues. And I sit back and I think, I reflect to myself, like, what is it today that, you know, why are people they're struggling so much with their relationships? Why are they struggling so much to get along with the opposite sex? Why are they struggling so much in love, something that is supposed to be sacred, something that is supposed to be divine and holy, and a union of a man and a woman joining together and becoming one flesh? Why are they struggling so much in this area of their life that's supposed to be the most rewarding and most fulfilling? And of course, hearing a lot of those conversations and, you know, being asked myself for advice on those dating and relationship situations, that's kind of how I got into teaching this subject. I knew I just could not relate to a lot of the issues that I heard women asking or venting about. And so I figured I could be a leader in that. And anyway, blah, 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 blah. you go on social media and you see, as a dating and relationship coach and a leader in the dating and relationship men and women realm, I follow a lot of groups and communities on different platforms of women who look for counsel and guidance in their relationship problems, and they explain their situations, or even whenever girls, men and women, reach out to me and ask me about their problems, personally, and asking me for advice. So I follow a lot of these groups, and I read what they're asking, and I don't always engage. I don't always offer any insight or advice, but it's really sad to me. A part of me is really happy because I can offer my guidance, I can offer counsel in that. But there's another part of me that's really saddened by all the problems that these young girls are encountering with the guys that they are dating. And of course, a lot of the issues they go back to why men will not commit to us, and the reasons why they've strayed so far away from their natural capability of committing, right? They've always committed to women for hundreds, thousands of years. They've never struggled in committing to women. They've always longed for stability in their marriages, in their family. They've always longed for sexual stability with one woman that they choose to vow their responsibility over. It makes their lives easier when they commit to one woman, right? Men actually get a lot of benefits out of marriage. They live longer, they live a healthier and happier life. This has been thoroughly studied, and this has been thoroughly proven. Men do receive a lot of benefits from being married, and their overall health is better. And it makes a lot of sense because they obviously have that sexual stability in their day-to-day lives with their wife, right? They don't have to go out seeking for unnecessary fleshly pleasures, and then so that helps to boost their testosterone levels. And then just the act of them consistently providing, working a job and providing for a woman and a family is very, very beneficial for their testosterone levels. So they get a lot of benefits out of marriage. Well, the question is, if they receive so much benefit and live a happier and healthier and more stable lifestyle because of their commitments and vowing their responsibilities to someone else, then why are they struggling so much with commitment, here in the Western world in particular? And of course, a lot of our morals here are, they're non-existent. Okay, we don't even have morals anymore. Morals have gone out of the window after the feminism movement, whatever it is. The feminism movement, after that took place, women decided that it was a good idea to engage in casual relations outside of marriage, in the same way that they thought, they perceived that men were, because we all know intuitively, especially as women, that sperm is cheap and eggs are expensive, and men spreading their seed is a lot less significant than a woman who openly spreads her seed, obviously, sperm is a dime a dozen, okay? There's trillions and trillions of sperm, and that's why it's so cheap. But our eggs in us women are very, very valuable because they are very, very scarce, okay? So, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So, women thought that men were out here just engaging in casual relations and, cheating on their partners and having affairs outside of their marriages. And no doubt that stuff was happening, right? We live in a fallen world. That stuff is always happening. It's even going to happen in cultures outside of the West where they have stricter morals and principles. Say in the Middle East, where the men are raised to be providers and women are raised to be at home with the children, and they don't have to work if they don't want to, right? They have very, very strict morals given to them, and they're like instilled with these value systems. But of course, they're still human beings. We still fall to our flesh, and that stuff still happens, right? It's not going to be that it never happens, but just that we've gone to the extreme of allowing that the fall of marriages and broken homes and families to occur so much more often because of how women decided to break free of marriage, have the choice to, work outside of the home and, not be conformed to just being a homemaker, which is great too, right? There's beauty in all areas. There's wisdom of the past that we can take pieces from the past and learn from and then apply to our own life. And then there's wisdom now, right? It's great that we all have the freedom to choose what we want to do, whether we are men or women, and whether we want to get married or want to work a career, right? We all have that freedom to choose. So, I kind of lost my train of thought there and went off on a tangent. But back to some of the reasons as to why men will not commit is that all leads me up to the first point of the masculinization of women. So as women have gone into the workforce, moved more out of the home, started making more money, started providing financially for themselves and providing pretty much everything for themselves, they no longer feel the need for men. They need a higher intelligence in order to come to the realization of why they need men in their life. And it's more for emotional areas of their life rather than just survival needs, right? Because in the past it was more survival needs, and love played a little bit of part in it, but it was mainly for the need of surviving and producing children. But as the natural polarity of the planet goes, as women become masculine and move down, when men become more feminine, and men become more feminized, and so unfortunately they question their roles as men. They question their sufficiency in not only their lives and career world, but of course their sufficiency to women, right? Women are out here making more money than men. Women are out here, being hard and rough and tough and, getting shit done and building their own businesses and, not needing men for pretty much anything anymore. And so because of that, men feel a sense of loss in their own purpose and in their own desire and need and drive to provide and protect for women, because that is what God put men here to do, is to provide and protect for women and children. And in the Bible, it actually says that a man who does not provide for his own is worse than a non-believer. It also says that any man that does not work does not eat. So it is very highly talked about in the Bible that men ought to provide, and that God placed a need and a desire and a very strong seed within them to go out and fulfill that desire and find a woman to procreate and make children with and provide for those children, right? Live a stable life. So I'm going to see what some of you guys are saying, and feel free to leave a comment or a question, and I'm going to continue on after I see what some of you guys are saying. Yeah? Let's see. Oh, thank you guys so much for following me if you're not following me already. Now men are confused. Yeah, they are very confused. I think we're all confused here in the Western world. That's just how it goes. I mean, you flip the roles and you try to bend and break all the rules of our natural instincts as humans, our natural programming, the way that God created us to be, and this is what you get. You get a lot of confusion. You get fights amongst the sexes. You get battles, you get identity crisis. I mean, look at what's happening in the world. Like, half of the kids, the generation that is coming up now, they're all confused with their gender. They're in an identity crisis, right? So yes, it's absolutely insane, and this is why. Let me see what some of you guys are saying. My girlfriend, who I thought loved me for me, just told me she's only interested in my... I don't know what that means, but you are more than welcome to send me an email or a DM about your situation, and I will try to answer you through a video in the best way that I can. Just make sure that you reach out to me and tell me a little bit more about your situation, and I'll be happy to help you. Oh, thank you guys so much for all your likes and for joining in. All right. Yes, absolutely. Queen of Roses. I'm gonna be getting to that point. Thank you so much, Mariah. You were so sweet. Okay, let's see. Let's move on to the next reason as to why men will not commit anymore. Okay? And that is the overstimulation of society, the overstimulation of dating apps, this sort of fast-paced, fast-moving, instant gratification lifestyle, the overstimulation of social media, the overstimulation of novelty, new and different, that instant gratification, that new, looking for dopamine hits, all of these areas that they feel like they have an abundance of options out there. There's plenty of women out there and options for them to engage in short-term relationships. They can just go, anytime that their partnership is not working out for them, all they have to do is open up their phone, get into a dating app, swipe, and they can find several different women to, message, get to know more, hook up with. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous, and actually really repulsive. So the overstimulation of all the dating apps and the social media world, right? They're seeing, not even if they're not engaging in conversations, like one-on-one conversations with other women, if they are in a partnership, of course, they're easily engaging in the world of Instagram and, you know, the dark side of it, where there's adult content or more mature, explicit content out there. All they have to do is open up their phone. It is so easily accessible. Finding other women to, you know, give into their fleshly desires and wants and needs and whatever it is. It's just too easy for them. It is far, far, far too easy for them. And so why would they feel inclined to commit to us? Why would they feel inclined if they are a more feminine energy guy who, you know, obviously doesn't really know about relationships and, you know, is still kind of living in his childhood consciousness? Then those kinds of guys are going to they're going to be constantly seeking out and searching for that novelty, that new and different woman. Anytime that one relationship goes sour, or they have a fight, or, you know, whatever happens negatively in their relationship, they just don't feel inclined to sit there and work it out anymore, because there's other women out there who would be easier for just a small amount of time. Okay. And you know what? This is really, really disgusting to me. And it actually reminds me of a time where I was dating a guy who, he definitely was he was too spoiled by the novelty of constantly, you know, dating new and different women. And he would get into, wait, let me just say this. Let me back up and say this. There is a difference between like duty rotational dating and, you know, trying to find your life partner and knowing what you want and going into it with intention, versus like getting into relationships and like actually like forming bonds with a person, creating memories, forming bonds with them, and like actually like sexually tying yourself to someone else. So there's a difference in that versus, you know, the other way of just being more intentional in dating and meeting women and seeing what you both want and if your values align. There is a very clear distinction between those two things. And so I don't want to knock a guy who is out there like actually being intentional in dating, and, you know, he has morals that he really strongly stands on, and so he's just kind of meeting women and seeing if their lives and values are compatible. But those men that are out there, you know, just kind of getting into relationships, and one thing goes wrong, or the person is they don't know who that person is and like if their values or lives would mesh well together, so they're just jumping into it and forming those intimate bonds. That's dangerous, and that is a very unhealthy way to do relationships. And those are guys that really just, most of them just don't even know that they're doing anything wrong, right? That's a very toxic way of going about it. And like I was saying, like I used to date a guy who, he was like that. Like he would get into like actual partnerships with women that he would date, right? Like he would go on a date with a woman, right? And then they would I guess become like this whole boyfriend girlfriend thing. And then, you know, they would find out a little bit more about each other along the way and discover each other's flaws, and then they would just part ways, right? And this is a toxic mentality, and it's really heartbreaking because it's like breaking a piece off of you each and every time that you connect yourself to someone so intimately as that. When you're creating these new memories with someone, you're sharing emotions, you know, you're sharing an intimate special connection. You're sexually joining with another. It's very, very toxic to keep in this like perpetuating cycle where there's no end to it, right? So are you following along? Are you following me along here? Let me know if I'm making sense to you guys. Thanks so much for joining. Wow, so many of you guys on here. Thank you for popping in. Men looking forward for women to chase them so bad. Yeah, well, there's also reasons behind that too, my dear. So let me know if you guys are liking this message. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for affirming that. All right. So next reason as to why men do not commit is the reason that you brought up, my love, and that is fatherless homes. And a very unhappy mother, right? So if a boy grows up in a home without seeing his father in the home, or without witnessing that his mother is a happy woman, and if his perception becomes of women that women are very crazy, they're uncontrollable, they have erratic and crazy mood swings, they don't know how to gauge their emotions and gauge situations and problems in their life. If his perception becomes that women are very difficult to please and they can never be made happy, or that they are promiscuous whores and are just doing men dirty and just stealing all their money and just using men, if that becomes his perception, which is, if he's a young boy, then he can either one, grow this perception on his own, form this perspective of his mother on his own, or like in my very personal family case, where the father is like brainwashing the children, and specifically the son, about all of these terrible qualities of his mother or just women in general, right? So that was the situation for me personally, and like my family upbringing. I do come from a broken family. My parents were together actually until I was about 10 years old, so I do have that solid foundation until that time. But once they divorced, it really became toxic for just the overall family unit, because mother was in the ear saying one thing and father was in the ear saying another thing, and so the son grew a very wounded perspective of his mother, and that mother was always unhappy, and she was a terrible wife. She was never a good wife. She was always just out to be manipulative, be destructive, break apart family units, rob all the money. It becomes this like narrative that women are these terrible human beings, and they form their wounded perspectives of it. And so, like I said, it could be from the father, which does very much happen when the father is very wounded himself by the mother. So that's a huge reason why the boy will grow up and be unwilling to commit to women. And this doesn't mean that he won't be into relationships or won't try to sleep with women. At the end of the day, he's still a guy and still wants to fulfill those fleshly desires, and so those guys will tend to still go on and do have girlfriends or whatnot, date women, but mock them, make them look very bad because of the own brainwashing that he was instilled with. But actually, I will say to that point, I know of a boy who he was being fed all of this really false information, and just information that should have been kept private, as a young boy between his parents. And he actually, like, as he was getting older, he really didn't get himself involved into relationships. He actually pretty much stayed away for the most part. I think he was like in like one like short-term relationship at one point. But for the most part, like he was someone who decided to just kind of shut that part off, you know, shut off those needs, shut off that desire. And there's a beauty to that. You know, there's a negative side to that, but there is beauty in that as well. And I think he was just growing and maturing and trying to, you know, put off the need of, you know, wanting to connect with a woman, because he had wounded perspectives, and maybe there was wisdom in that, you know. But all in all, my point being is that when these perspectives are formed through their upbringing, that really skews their ability to commit to women and, you know, vow responsibility and marry a woman, right? Get married. That's a big responsibility. Getting married is a huge responsibility, especially for men, right? Men they carry most of the responsibility of that because they have to do these big things once they get married, right? They have to provide a home. They have to be financially stable if they want to, you know, marry a woman and then start having children. They have to be stable in their jobs. It's a big responsibility to take on. They have to be able to afford, you know, payments on a car, payments on a house, maybe payments on 2 cars, right? It's a big responsibility. And that's a good responsibility. Men need that responsibility, right? But it is a responsibility, and it is a big one. For women, it's a little bit easier. We do carry the responsibility of, you know, bringing new life into in our wombs. We carry the responsibility of the world in our wombs. Men carry that weight, the responsibility of the world on the external, like on their shoulders, right? So anyways, I went off on a tangent. I don't know where I was before that, but mother unhappy and fatherless homes, right? Young boys have to be led by men in order to become men. They have to be modeled a stable, healthy relationship by a man in order to follow in those footsteps and take on those same responsibilities. They have to be shown by other men, and they cannot follow the authority and leadership from women. I just made a video on my YouTube channel about you know, the whole situation with the Secret Service and, you know, putting a woman in charge, and why that's just an awful idea. So you should go check that out if you want to. But it reminded me of, you know, being like trying to create this fake world where we believe in our delusion that women can lead men and in becoming men, right? That women actually can have authority over men in jobs as like high up and as important as Secret Service, for example. Okay. So let's see what some of you guys are saying. What about the ones that don't like their moms but try to find their mom in other women? Yeah, that is that's just how it works. So we always date, mate, and marry the people that most closely remind us of our parents. So inevitably, it's not conscious, it's more in the subconscious, part of the brain where we will look for the same qualities and even the same physicalities of our parents in the person that we fall in love with, right? I mean, that we become romantic with. So it's just inevitable. He's not particularly seeking that out, but he attracts that, right? Because he doesn't know any other way. He just inevitably attracts women that remind him the most of his mother and all the qualities that his mother had. I like that you talked about your family. Thank you for sharing. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for acknowledging that. Yeah, I mean, I'm always very, very relatable in my content because I think that's really important. And I know how important it is for me even when I, engage in content that seems to be more relatable, where I can hear about the other person's like situations and like their story, right? So thank you for acknowledging that. It makes sense as to why you talk about what you do based on your childhood. Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot, this was definitely a calling for me, but I think a lot of us, we just kind of suppress, and this was me, by the way, this was me once, even just like a few years ago. We just pretend like we suppress those feelings of all the things that we deal with in our childhood and the breaking of the family unit. We suppress it and just suppress it and suppress it and suppress it, and we just shove it down so deep, and we pretend like it doesn't exist or that it doesn't affect us. And I remember speaking the words like multiple times that, oh, it doesn't matter, like it doesn't affect me, right? Like I don't care. And it was actually because I really had a really strained relationship with my father. And so it was just easier for me to pretend like it doesn't affect me, because I was just like, oh, I don't care. Like my father is, he's here, my mom's there, but it's whatever, right? But then once I really became attuned to myself and wanted to learn more about who I was and really just developed myself emotionally and decided that I wanted to be better and I wanted to, I was ready to become a wife myself, Once I really stepped into that, then that was when I realized, oh my God, like that really did affect me. And I started connecting the dots of, okay, this is why I did this. This is what led to this situation. There was just so much going on emotionally, but also like logically, of connecting the dots of why everything happened the way that it did. And I think that gives a lot more affirmation in, the whole experience. It made me personally feel better, in a more positive way, to understand from a logical standpoint, but also from an emotional standpoint of all the events that occurred and broke the family apart and then led to, my own traumas and situations. So that's all in the past now. It's done and over with for me, right? I'm not still walking in that story, if that makes sense. I've completely overcome that story, and I've changed the narrative. And that's another thing. That's what you have to do. You have to change the narrative for yourself and of your story, and decide that you want your future and your story to be better. You want it to look different for you, for God, and for your future children and your future husband, right? Because if I didn't decide that, if I didn't have this internal wisdom about it, I would still be repeating the patterns of my parents. I would still be replaying all those same scenarios in my own life. Because that is just how it works. That is how our human psychology works. And this is actually really amazing, because since I'm so attuned to these things for myself, it's so crazy to me. But my sister and her husband, they are a mirror. I mean, a mirror of my parents' relationship and everything, like to the T of like their like A, B, and C, you know, what they went through, getting through, like everything about their relationship is just like replaying my parents' relationship. And I'm assuming that it's her husband's parents' relationships as well, right? Because that's just how it works. I don't know his parents really, but yeah, it's really, really fascinating to me. So yeah, thank you again for acknowledging that, because it is it's a past perceived value to me, and to show how I've overcome that and switched up my narrative, and can now in that can help other men and women understand themselves and their relationships better. So does that make sense? Let's see what you guys are saying. You guys, any questions like that is outside of this conversation, make sure if you want me to answer them, just make sure that you send me a DM or an email, or you can even like message me on Instagram, and I will definitely get back to you. I would love to answer all of your questions and offer my advice. I study men and women. I thoroughly research and study, you know, differences of communication, brain differences, evolutionary differences, biological, biochemical responses. I research, you know, hormonal differences, and just different needs and desires of men and women. So this, I'm very like well versed in this whole realm of men and women. So I know what I'm talking about. I'd love to help you out in any way that I possibly can. But again, you just have to reach out to me personally. I get back with every single person that does reach out to me. So don't be afraid. I will definitely answer all of your questions there. Okay, I am going to go ahead and move on to the next couple of reasons that I have. I hated love and relationships for a long time due to my parents, but it got to a point where I didn't want my trauma to affect what I always wanted. Beautiful, beautiful. That is what we want to hear. That is what we want to see. You are so on the right path, babe. Like, good for you for deciding to, you know, change the narrative and do better for, you know, yourself and your future life, because your future family will thank you, and more importantly, God will bless you because you have decided to follow his path and what he wants for you. You know, how he foresees your life, and the guidelines and rules that he gives to us. He gives us these for a reason. You know, it's to help us. It's because he doesn't want to see us hurt. That's why we have all these boundaries and restrictments as, you know, not only Christians, but human beings. Of course, we have the free will to decide, you know, whether we want to follow that or not. He doesn't take that free will away, but it's there. Okay, so anyway, next reason as to why some men do not commit. And that is they do not have their finances right. Now, so many men have said to me that they totally agree with the statement that men marry when it's the right, when their finances are in order. They marry, they feel like they can actually make the commitment of marriage when they feel like they are stable in their careers, in their jobs, they're making enough money for themselves and to be able to provide. Again, because they are so hardwired to provide and protect, and a man just intuitively knows that he has to be a provider. Now, this is like, it really doesn't matter of what energy he's sitting in. Like, even if he is sitting in his feminine energy and he's become a very feminine energy man who has been conditioned out of his providing through, women or upbringing or whatever it is, this still plays true for, the masculine spirit and soul. It is hardwired into their DNA to be providers. And so, again, it doesn't matter if he is sitting in his female energy. Sometimes he will not want to commit because he intuitively feels wrong about vowing that kind of responsibility over himself and his life when he doesn't feel ready financially. Okay. And that's a huge problem, especially here, in America, because obviously there's a lot, of background things with finances and, just men being, underpaid for jobs, men not having college like degrees as much as women are, which I don't fall into the whole bullshit of like college tuition and needing to go to college or whatever. Like, I am so not like all for, like, I think that's bullcorn, right? I come from a very traditional family that did not go to college, right? I have a younger sister actually who's 18 right now, and she is in college currently, but she's about the only one. Like, she's actually in a university. I have a sister who's married with 2 children right now, but she did a couple years ago, she had went to like a community college. She does like dental assisting. She's a stay-at-home mom now, but she can work whenever she wants to. She has the ability to just freely, not work or work, whatever. Right now she has very young children, so obviously she's at home with them, but she went to a community college and that was that. So college, whatever, right? But the problem of it is that women are outnumbering the amount of men that are graduating from college now. And so it's becoming a huge problem because women are looking for someone that is, women naturally date, mate, and marry hypergamously, right? So if women are outnumbering the amount of men that are college educated and women are out here making more money than men, the ratio just doesn't add up, right? How are women going to mate and marry hypergamously if the men are severely underpaid and they're not getting as much college degrees? How are they going to choose these men if they naturally, instinctively want to be with someone who is above them, who is financially dominant over them? It just doesn't add up, right? So there's a lot of issues in the Western world with the whole financial situation and men being severely underpaid and men also not, knowing their purpose and their calling and, doing jobs that just don't pay them enough to be able to provide for a family, or at least that they feel, right? I could do a whole video on, well, actually I have a video on my channel on YouTube of like living off of one income and is it possible, and these sorts of questions that we kind of have to ask ourselves now. So go check that out if you are interested in it. But I could do a whole video on just like how to like kind of work into your life, your lifestyle ways of only living and getting by on your husband's sole income as a sole provider, right? So they believe, and again on the belief that their finances are not in order, they're poverty programmed into that belief system. They're watching social media and all of the flashy celebrities and rap artists that are showing off all of their $1 million assets. And so that's what they're striving for, and that's great. We want to see everybody prosperous. We want to see everybody wealthy, abundant. Like, this is a spirit from God to be wealthy and abundant, right? But the problem of it is that they are being constantly fed all of this information and comparing their lives to other people on social media who already have all of those assets and millions of dollars. And so they feel that if they don't have that, that they can't successfully provide for a woman and family, right? Or maybe they even feel insecure about the fact that they think that women are not even going to want them anymore. They're not going to want them at all if they don't have millions of dollars and all of these assets, right? So our expectations are just incredibly high today. And so the belief systems that we've adapted because of that are really, really destructive to younger people, and younger people who actually do want to get married and build a family. Am I making sense here? Tell me if you're still if you're still following along. Let me know. Can guys really just be close friends with girls? Absolutely not. That is a question that is not pertaining to this video. However, I have so many videos about men and women being friends. That is such a lovely question. I love that question, but make sure you go check out my YouTube channel. I have a whole video on that. But also here on my TikTok, I have videos answering and going more into depth about men and women being close, quote unquote, friends. Okay, so great question. But yeah, go check out those videos. That's what I will refer you to. Thank you guys so much for all the likes and for sticking around. Okay, moving on. After the fact of they don't have their finances right, because men want to marry when they feel financially able, stable, and ready, right? Okay, next reason as to why men do not commit, and that is premature benefits from women. I know this one tends to be pretty triggering. I get it, right? But the truth is the truth, right? These things have to be acknowledged in order to create a change here, create self-reflection and self-actualization. And so all the premature benefits that women are giving to men before they actually even have a ring on their finger is actually destroying it, not only for the individuals that are in the relationship, but also for us as a collective, right? Because if one woman is out here giving premature benefits to men, it's affecting you too, okay? So I don't ever want to negate the fact that if you are a high value feminine woman, sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult for you to find that person, that equivalent of you that is also high value, because of all the premature benefits that are being put on the table from other women out there. And so men, it's like they just have this big feast, right? Picture a big feast on a table where like all the men are lining up and just like they just have their choice in whatever, right? They're just like indulging themselves in. And oops, sorry, my notes went off. So all of these premature benefits they're receiving, they're confused, right? So again, if you're showing up as a high value woman, and I really don't like to use that term, but that's the popular term that's like being thrown around on the internet and everybody knows what it means. So I'm just using that for the sake of, internet terms. But they're being spoiled by all these different women who are willing to accept becoming a girlfriend. They're being spoiled by all these women who are willing to, do all of these wifey things and move in and cohabitate before they're ever married. Okay, I'm not kidding you. I know of an older couple where obviously this man and this woman, they were already married previously. Oh, hi Lexi. Hi. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you here on TikTok in a while. I hope you're doing well. So anyways, I knew of this older couple. They had already, previously been married. And so they were divorced. And the woman, bless her heart, she immediately started dating this guy, which is actually a family friend of ours, my father and my stepmom's friend. And she moved in to his house. She literally sold her house and moved in to his house right away. Okay. So women are giving it no time. They're just trauma bonding to another person, and men are out here being spoiled by that. So we are the dictators of the relationship realm, right? Men focus more on the financial and business side of life. But us women, we really have control over our relationships. We are supposed to be the ones that are more educated in that department. We're supposed to be the ones that know a little bit more about manipulating, healthily manipulating and pulling and tugging at strings towards men. We are the ones that are more intuitive in that area than men are. And so whatever we're dishing out, men are just going to freely take from us. And so if women are not out here requiring commitment, they're not requiring for a man to vow his life and all of his responsibilities and all of his providing energy and all of his assets to a woman before they create children together, then they think, what is the point of getting married? What is the point of going through all the legality of it, signing documents, putting all of their things and energy and just life at risk if women are not requiring that, right? Because truth be told, most women are having children outside of wedlock now. That's become a rarity, is if you actually have children once you're married. Most people are having children when they're not married. I honestly don't know a single person in real life, outside of social media, in real life, that actually waited until marriage to sleep together. I don't know anyone. If you know someone, oh my God, congratulations. I don't know anyone in my real life. Now I could say maybe my grandma, and probably my grandma, right? My grandma on my dad's side, but I don't know anyone else besides her. Not even my other grandma. I hope my grandparents and parents don't watch this video, which will be posted to YouTube, but oh, okay, I'm gonna go through your guys' comments. You look so lovely. Thank you, Kitten Karma. Yeah, totally. Queen of Roses, I don't agree with ever living with somebody, a partner when you're not married. I don't even believe in boyfriend, girlfriend. I actually have gotten offended in the past whenever, and I mean, I get it, right? I understand the whole Western principle of, the whole boyfriend, girlfriend thing, and that's what people know. That's what people are programmed to. But I actually do end up kind of getting offended whenever people will ask me, oh, do you have a boyfriend? Or, oh, are you looking for a boyfriend? And I will kind of rebuttal. I'm like, I'm not looking for a boyfriend. No, I don't do boyfriends, right? Like, if I was 16, okay, cool. But I do, like, sometimes kind of get, like, a little bit snarky when somebody asks me, especially, like, somebody older. Like, don't ask me if I'm looking for a boyfriend. No, I do not do boyfriends. But yeah, and like I said, I mean, I get it because, like, that's what people expect now. Yeah. Yeah. Lexi, thank you for sharing that. It's definitely harder for us, more feminine, traditional women, you know, who want just something like a world apart from what the world is just pushing to us and shoving down our throats. Like, it's just harder for us out here, because there's just no morals. Oh my God, thank you so much for saying that, Lexi. It's forbidden to date in Islam. Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. Actually, my sister is I'm sorry. My sister is Islamic. Is that how you say it? I have a stepsister, and she's Islamic. She's already been to Palestine, actually. She's only 15 years old. But yeah, that's her culture, her religion. And her father is very strict, okay? He is so strict on her. Now, her parents are divorced, but her father is remarried to another Islamic woman. And they have children together, but, like, my sister, her mom, like, obviously, my stepmom is from England, and obviously she's been here in the States for, like, forever, right? So she has a lot of the Western ways. So it actually causes a lot of, it's interesting for me to, like, be on the outside looking in, because it actually causes a lot of, like, friction between her mom and, like, her father, because her father is so strict with her in, like, in their culture and religion, and her mom will let her, like, have more freedom in that. You know, does that make sense? Like, he puts up a fight about a lot of things that her mom allows her to do, but her dad wouldn't allow her to do, you know? And honestly, like, what I say, not that she's my kid or whatever, not that it really matters, but I say I love that she has both sides, because then she really has the freedom to choose what side she wants, and, like, what side fits with her identity better, right? Like, what side does she want to follow? And once she gets older and she kind of grows more into herself, she'll be able to see the wisdom of both sides. Does that make sense? So yeah, it's just so interesting to see, like, how strict her father is with her culture, and, like, really instilling values completely outside of our crazy Western values. And then, you know, kind of just it causing some issues with her mom. Not that her mom, you know, is crazy. Like, her mom has a lot of strict values too, but it's just interesting. Wait, why is this wanting me to? Okay. You are either married or you're nothing. Dating is haram. Ah. Yeah, isn't that crazy? She would be Muslim. Okay, that's what I thought. I love getting on here and, like, seeing other people, like, who understand and can relate and resonate with what I'm saying in, like, my mind, because out here I don't ever meet anyone who is like, oh, what do you mean? Like, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, like, they don't get it. So anyways, I love being in social media because you guys here, you get it. Oh my God, yes. I hope that she, you know, my little sister, I hope that she doesn't retaliate as she gets older. But again, maybe that's the good thing about her having both sides, about her having those strict values from her father and seeing, you know, their family dynamic, and then having the freedom on her mom's side and seeing our family dynamic, you know. I think hopefully that will be good for her and not, you know, trying to rebel so much. Because I totally get the idea of like rebellion, because you kind of feel like your free will is being taken away from you, you know. And I mean, even in my own way, my father, we were always Christian, but he definitely like had a lot of ways with us and strict things with us that now that I'm older and can look back, I can say like, okay, this is a lot of things that I wouldn't do with my own personal kids. But I definitely had some like rebellious ways in some of the things that he, you know, showed to us, or were more strict with us in our upbringing. Or I guess really it was just that it wasn't communicated well to us. You know what I mean? It was just more so, I say for you to do this because I'm the father, I'm the dictator, and you don't have a say so, you don't have feelings or an opinion on this. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it was that was really like troubling, and that's, I think, what kind of causes you to kind of rebel more. Okay, guys, I actually do have one more reason on here for why men will not commit. And thank you guys for like just engaging so much with the conversation. So, okay, so the last reason that I have written on my notes is men are living in fear. They are wounded from their past relationships. They are hearing of all of the divorce rates and the crazy narratives out there, the access of social media and all of these people sharing their stories and coming forward and yada yada yada. The podcast bros who also come from broken homes, you know, they're getting outlooks and other perspectives of other guys and other people in their community, and they're getting washed with all of this negativity from their friends, from work, from other men. They're hearing other relationship issues, and they're living in fear. They're being sold this narrative that all women are going to do is take your money. Women want too many things. They want you to be millionaires. They feel really insecure about that, you know. And I'm talking about more of these feminine energy men who have not ascended yet to their masculine energy state of mind. They've not ascended yet into their purpose, right, as a man, and stepping into their role as men. They're living in this fear perpetuated to them by culture, by other guys, by social media. And this is really happening, you know, for those younger men, especially younger ones, because our brains are more malleable at a younger age, and we just don't really know much about who we are, especially in, you know, what we're being fed in the world today. Like, it's just a whole different generation than, you know, when my grandparents were coming up. So they're living in a lot of these fears. And again, if they saw that their parents didn't work out, if their parents didn't stay together, they inevitably feel like they're going to end up creating the same cycle for themselves, and, you know, just kind of create those same problems. And so why would they want to, you know, commit to women? Why would they want to take responsibility and risk losing everything when other men are in their ear saying that that's all that women are out for, right? So this is really happening. They are constantly fed fear-mongering baloney. Let me see. I noticed with taxi light theory? No, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. But I think it's amazing, like, to just step into that calling all of a sudden and, you know, decide like, oh, I do have this desire in me to, you know, provide and protect and get married and start a family. I love to see that. Cab light. Okay. No, I've never heard of this. That's interesting. They self-sabotage. Yeah, 1000% they self-sabotage, right? We all do that, really. We all self-sabotage in some kind of way. Is it normal? Oh, Melissa, I would love to answer your question, but this video is going to be on my YouTube channel. So any questions pertaining to the topic, I'm going to answer. But anything that is outside of this topic, make sure you send me a DM or an email on any of my platforms, and I will definitely answer your question and probably make a video for you separately. I just don't want to, like, you know, get too much confusion in my video. Create too much. My bad. Yeah, I can totally see that. I can totally see that. Like, it's just like all of a sudden they have just like this light switches on, like you said, like this light switches on. It's like, oh my God, like I have this desire, or, you know, she inspires me to like be a better man. She inspires me to like step up. She inspires me to make more money. She inspires me to, you know, have responsibility over something. And there can be freedom in that. I think that there can be freedom within that. But we love to see it. We love to see men just like out here growing, you know, being fed healthy information. We love to see them pushing to be better and actually achieving their goals and building their businesses. We love to see them looking up and following other men, you know, other men that are where they want to be. Because I think that is so important. Like, just the lack of masculine role models out here is very scarce. And unfortunately, like, I have guys in my family where they don't have, like, they need male guidance. They need, and whether it be like from a father or not, like, they need just to follow male guidance from men who know more than them, or they are where they want to be. They're more successful, like, or they have this like really healthy, stable family unit. It's scarce out here for them to be able to look up to that. And I think that would be a huge positive impact. It would make a huge positive impact on some of these guys' lives, like some of my own male family members, if they just were able to like hang more around you know, healthy masculine men. But I don't know, they're just ego driven. You know, what ego stops them from pursuing that, the lack of finding it. I don't know. I know I have male family members actually who they don't even leave their house. Like, they have no social life. They don't do anything. Like, they might work their job and that's it. I actually can name about 4 guys right off the top of my head that I know that they go to work and they come home and they do nothing else. They just stay in their house. They don't have any friends. They don't go out to eat. They don't have a social life. They probably play video games during their like downtime, leisure time. I'm just like, this is actually pathetic and disgusting. It's really pathetic to me. But it's heartbreaking too, because, you know, it's just heartbreaking that this is their life and they're comfortable with it. Okay, guys, well, I have been on here for like an hour and a half now, and I think I said all I wanted to say. So follow me on here if you're not already, of course. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube, absolutely subscribe to me on there. I am always posting new content there, growing my community on there. That's just where all the longer form videos go. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me on here today. All of your lovely questions. And I love you guys. I am going to get going, and I actually have a photo shoot later, so I really need to get ready for that. So I'll see you guys in the next live, okay? I love you. Mwah.